I get a lot of GPUs on my bench, damaged, dead, melted, but every now and then something special shows up. This is a brand new factory sealed Gigabyte Aorus Xtreme RTX 5090. These GPUs were supposed to launch at a $2,000 selling price, but with AI demand and GPU shortages, a regular RTX 5090 now runs at $4,300 in the UAE. This one, 4,800, a $500 premium for the Aorus badge, the water block, and whatever Gigabyte puts inside their flagship. So we're looking at a GPU that costs more than double its original selling price. And the question is, does the PCB engineering match that premium? There she is, the Aorus Xtreme RTX 5090 PCB. Fresh out of the factory, every component intact where it should be. This is what $4,800 looks like under the hood. And look at this. Gigabyte uses thermal putty instead of thermal pads on these graphic cards. The Aorus Xtreme is completely flooded in it. There's so much putty around the VRM and memory, it looks like they squeezed a whole tube in there. Honestly, it's a headache to clean. The putty can slide under the memory modules, and if you get memory errors later, removing them with heat can cause other modules to break contact too. And this is the other side of the story. A Gigabyte Gaming OC RTX 5090 that came into me damaged in shipping. Broken pads under the core, too many to repair. So I moved the core and memory to a fresh board. What's left is the bare skeleton, a perfect reference to compare against the flagship. Today, we are breaking down these two boards side by side. Same GPU, same memory, same company. Completely different price bracket. Let's see what you're actually paying for. At first glance, these two look very similar. Same form factor, same memory layout around the core, same PCIe connector. But once you start looking closer, the differences tell a different story about how Gigabyte tiers their product. We are going to cover four main areas: the PWM controllers, the power stages, the features like fan headers, BIOS, safety components, and then I'll give you my perspective as a repair technician on what these boards look like to work on. Let's start with the most important part: the power delivery. The PWM controller is the brain of the VRM, and this is where these two boards take completely different approaches. The Aorus Xtreme uses a programmable smart controller from MPS, Monolithic Power Systems. It handles everything on the board: core voltage and even the memory voltage. One chip, all rails. Fully programmable, giving Gigabyte more tuning flexibility for their flagship. The Gaming OC takes a different route. A dedicated controller from Bright Power Semiconductors handles the core voltage with a separate four-phase controller, also Bright Power, dedicated just to the memory. Two chips instead of one. Neither approach is wrong. The Aorus setup is more modern and flexible. On lower tier boards, you will find a dual setup combination for core and memory. It just shows you where Gigabyte spends their engineering budget on this one. The power stages themselves are where the numbers actually line up. Both boards use 50 amp rated smart power stages with integrated drivers. MPS on the Aorus, Bright Power on the Gaming OC. Same capabilities per stage on paper. Look at the Aorus though. Every single phase for the core is populated. Solid, no gaps. The Gaming OC on the other hand has two empty slots. Two phases left out. Classic cost cutting, same PCB but fewer components installed. More phases means better heat distribution, less electrical noise, and more stable voltage. For overclocking, it's a real advantage. For everyday gaming, you'll never know the difference. One thing they do share is the voltage monitoring chip, the part responsible for reading power draw, voltages, and current. That's the same data you see in GPU Z, MSI Afterburner, and HW Info. Identical monitoring IC on both boards. Let's move around the rest of the board. Fan headers. The Gaming OC has two 16-pin fan headers right here. These also carry the ARGB signal for the RGB fans. The air-cooled Aorus Xtreme has them too, but this is a water block version. And the fan headers are completely missing. If you're running water, you don't need them. Intentionally let off. BIOS. The Aorus Xtreme water block has a single BIOS chip. One configuration, clean and simple. The Gaming OC, on the other hand, has dual BIOS with physical switch. But it's not a performance toggle. It switches between fan profile, silent mode versus OC mode. The core voltages are the same. Everything else like GDDR7 memory layout, PCIe 5 interface, test points, backside components, it's all very similar. Same base PCB platform packaged for different tiers. Now, there's something I want to call out, and this applies to almost every RTX 5090 I've seen. Look at the 12-volt power input area. You'll see the current sense resistor, same as the RTX 4090 and other 40 series cards. These measure current draw, but they won't blow like fuse. What's missing is the actual fuse on the 12-volt input. And this is the same story here on the Gaming OC. Current sense resistors but no fuse. Both boards share the same story. Now, NVIDIA's argument is that they use smart power controllers that handle protection against shorts in firmware on the controllers. So a fuse is not needed. And to be fair, those controllers do a good job. I haven't received a burnt RTX 5090 yet. But here's the thing. A fuse is passive, mechanical, and foolproof. If something goes wrong, a shorted MOSFET, a damaged connector, a liquid drip, a fuse blows before the board does. Controllers can fail. A fuse works. On a card that was supposed to sell at $2,000 and now goes for $4,300, leaving out a 10-cent fuse is disappointing. On the Aorus at $4,800, even more so. This should be standard protection on all tiers of GPUs. But stepping back from the components, what do these boards actually look like to work on? From a repair perspective, what matters is the base PCB, and these two boards share that foundation. Gigabyte designed one PCB layout, then tiered it by what they populated. The Aorus gets the premium controllers, full face counts, water block setup. The Gaming OC gets the more cost-effective controller approach, empty face positions, and standard air cooling features. The Gaming OC board I have here was perfectly fine electrically. It was shipping damage that killed it. With a die this large, even a drop during transit can snap traces under the core. The RTX 5090 die is enormous. Hundreds of solder balls across a massive area. Even a 0.1 millimeter misalignment during installation can cause a short. That's why more than 2 broken pads and you're better off moving the core and memory on a fresh board. The risk of alignment issues or uneven pressure during reflow is just too high. At the end of the day, both boards are well built, just populated differently. So, back to the $500 question. Does the Aorus Xtreme justify its premium? If you're an overclocker and enthusiast or building a custom water loop, yes. The fully populated VRM and programmable MPS controllers, the clean power delivery, that's real value. You're paying for maximum headroom. If you're a gamer who just installs the card and plays, the Gaming OC delivers the same RTX 5090 performance for $500 less. The core, the memory, the PCB base, it's all the same quality. The 50M power stages are the same rating. You're not leaving any performance on the table. What the Aorus gives you is refinement, the top bin. The full phase loadout, just a clean board designed for water cooling. At more than double the original selling price, you'd hope the safety features scale with the price tag. If the $4,800 RTX 5090 is worth over a standard one, is your call. From a repair standpoint, I wish they used pads instead of putty. Or maybe I'm just being too selfish, as I have more work cut out for me working on these Gigabyte GPUs. Same GPU, same memory, different price tags. Now you know exactly what that $500 actually buys you. If this kind of teardown is useful, let me know what board you want me to crack open next. Thank you for watching. Cheers.